The presenting sponsor for On Education is Schoology. Schoology is not only the best learning management system, it's also a community of lifelong learners. There are so many things to love about Schoology, but my favorite is the company's passion to connect with their teachers and students to deliver the best product possible. If you want to learn more about Schoology and how they can help you advance what's possible, visit Schoology.com.
When we come back, I have a sense that we might get into a fight. We'll see. Welcome to On Education. I'm Mike Washburn.
And I'm Glen Irvin. Friends, we have an awesome pod for you today. We will discuss the upcoming elections in Canada and the United States, debate which EdTech giant is winning, and our interview today is with CEO of StoryboardThat, Aaron Sherman.
I'm excited about this podcast.
Yeah, it's just going crazy. I mean, it actually feels like we've started this like a few years ago, doesn't it to you?
We're in the zone.
Because it's going so quickly, like so many things. I mean, and by quickly, I mean just so many things are snowballing in a positive way.
25 episodes. We didn't even mention it last week.
Oh, we had 25?
Last week, yeah.
You know, for like 50, we should do something special.
We should do like I don't know. We got to time that out. I'm not sure when that happens.
Exactly.
maybe actually 50 would be right around
next summer. Maybe. Then we could have like a 50 episode anniversary party. Blah blah blah. Yeah. That sounds
just
like
can't
a good
do
idea.
it at Just can't do it at Batterbrow, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even
actually. We're not
anymore.
in Chicago, right? I guess we won't be in Chicago anyways, but we'll be Philly. We're coming for you.
Yes.
So yeah, speaking of cool things happening, FETC is not right around the corner, but we are in like, as the emails, you don't see my inbox, but as the emails would attest, we are in like full FETC mode.
Yes.
Around here. So this week is the last week where our interviews will not be related to FETC for the next 2 months, Glenn. 2 months.
Amazing. Just so many cool people too that we're going to have on and leading up up to FETC.
Do you want to drop some names? Should we drop some names?
Drop some. Yes.
What is the one that there was one that you were really excited about that you mentioned the other day?
Monica
Burns?
Yes. Monica Burns. I mean, I think that's an amazing person to, because she's had a journey as far as an educator and then now basically being a educational consultant, and we'll make sure we get her title right, but to become a really well-known name in education, really making positive changes and contributing to the education profession at a really, really high level. So I'm really interested in talking to her, as well as a whole bunch of other people that we have on. I mean, we have some crazy interviews coming up.
Don Wettrick,
yes,
going to be with us. So
yeah,
sometime in late November, I think.
So what do we have?
So we got
2 months of interviews.
We have basically the next 2 months of interviews already booked.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. Just that in itself shows the progress of the podcast.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
To be honest. And it's so much of a relief for us.
Oh, big time.
To have it already set up. And it looks like, and I mean, I know I'm putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but it looks like we're going to have some sort of a table or booth or something.
At FETC,
there,
right?
Yeah.
So we have to like get a sign.
We got to get a sign. I've been working on that.
Yeah.
So
the logo is amazing. So I think it would look amazing on a big sign. You know,
so we're gonna get a background,
yes,
of some sort, and we'll put maybe some QR codes on it or something so that people can scan the QR code and subscribe to the podcast.
Good idea.
Because there's no way we'll be sitting at a booth for the whole time. That's kind of not what we do.
No, we'll be
at these sort of things. Right. And we're going to have stickers. I don't think they're going to be in the bags, but they're going to be somewhere.
Okay.
They told us somewhere. So we're going to be everywhere. Listen, and I'll tell you, Ross and some of the folks at FETC, they've been unbelievable.
Super accommodating. I mean, I mean, it's like a partnership. It's so awesome.
It's been pretty wild. So we're thrilled, and it's going to be a great event, and we're pumped to see all of our friends. And I mean, and we just haven't even talked about what we're going to be doing when we're there.
Yes.
And we don't have that all planned out, but you can be sure that, we'll have, some of our usual suspects come talk to us, like Noah and the Isaacs. Both of them are presenting. So
that's awesome. So we got to have them back on for sure.
Yes.
And then if you are interested in being on, you're going to be there. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Send us a message and we'll see if we can get you some time on the podcast, because that'd be just fantastic.
100%. We're gonna have a table and everything. We're gonna be like, it's pretty legit.
Like legit, exactly.
Unbelievable.
So you guys are voting tomorrow.
Voting. Well, I voted yesterday.
Yeah, you can do it. Too. Yep.
Yeah. So municipal elections. So we have federal elections. They're actually a year from now. Actually, I think that they are almost exactly a year from now.
Okay.
And then there were the provincial elections that were just a few months ago.
Okay.
And this is the municipal elections. So this is city
local?
councils. Yeah, city councils, mayors, and school board trustees. So district, those words are interchangeable. School board trustees and the Catholic board trustees. So that happens. That election is tomorrow.
That is fantastic.
Moderately exciting. We have a really good mayor. We actually have, like, Barrie's a big city, relatively speaking. I mean, we're in the 175,000 people. I think
that's pretty big.
Yep. Not a small city, and we have one of the best mayors in Canada in terms of like being like competent and qualified, and just he's a good dude. Like he's really good at his job. So he's basically running uncontested, which is cool. I'm fine with that. I mean, he's doing a wicked job. There's going to be a lot of changeover at our city council. I can see it coming already. So that'll be interesting. And and the school board trustee elections. So, and my name is on the ballot, which is strange.
On the school board trustees?
Because I was planning on running for the trustee, and then things changed with some work things that I'm going to talk about, not this podcast, but
later on,
eventually.
Yeah.
and so that meant that because there was going to be a bit of a conflict of interest, I kind of backed out of the school board, but it was before the cutoff date, so my name is still on the ballot. So I may actually still win. Technically, I could possibly win the trustee election.
Wow.
It'd be actually not saying very many good things about the competitors who are running against me.
Yeah.
If I won and I didn't campaign.
Okay. So you guys as school board trustees, it'd be kind of like we're school board members, like I suppose. They run a campaign too in Canada?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's elected.
So, I mean, do they go like door knocking and that kind of stuff? Or do they just put up signs and then just have a forum? Because we have like a local one here too that's happening, I think, in the next few days, where they kind of just discuss a variety of different issues and their take on them, But
I would say that
campaign.
I would say that most trustees campaign a little.
Yes.
The budgets for a municipal, like a city council person in Barrie, they usually spend somewhere between $8,000 and $11,000 on a municipal on the city council campaign.
Okay.
A typical trustee will spend somewhere between $300 or $400, and I've seen up to $2,000 on a campaign. My plan when I was running was that I was going to have about 50 or so signs.
Okay.
To put, all 50 on my lawn. No.
I live here.
To give to family and friends and stuff like that, and people in the local area, and put a couple on kind of the major roads-ish areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to do a mailer and then do some door knocking. Typically, you only need, turnout for these is terrible. I don't know what turnout is like for you guys for like your local elections, but turnout for a municipal election in Ontario is range somewhere between 25 and 40%.
Usually we have them connected. See, we have ours connected to the election happening in November. So they are on the same ballot. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So that helps.
Yeah, that does help.
So the midterms are November 4th?
Yes.
4th? 6th?
Mm-hmm. 6th, 4th? I think. I want to say 6th, but it's whatever the first Tuesday is.
I'm gonna live stream them.
Oh, you are?
Did I tell you that? Yeah.
Like
I've done
YouTube?
it. I've done it before on like something. So if people want to watch, but it will not be a PG live stream. Let's just say.
Interesting.
It will be animated. I will be excited and nervous, and it'll be interesting. So I've done it before, and it's typically just my friends that watch it with me, and we just talk. Like there's like a chat channel, and we just chat about what's happening,
about what's going on.
About who's winning and what's happening, and 2016, the world crashing down around us in a span of 6 hours. So stuff like that, right? I mean, I don't think the link for the video for my live stream is live, but the 2016 election, I was like really excited at 7:00, and I was really angry at midnight. So, and it was the full range of emotion of Mike Washburn is on display in that live stream. So, it's bad. You got some stuff here. Let's talk about girl gamers are more likely to study science and tech and get tech degrees. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're gonna link the article. The only thing I don't like that is it says in the title, but it just too often people are just seeking out clickbait. This is actually a university study. And it basically talks about that girls who actually play video games, and we're talking about what they consider to be a lot, which would be 9 hours per week, which I laugh at because I'm like, okay, if that's considered a lot, all right. But anyway, that they're more likely to go ahead and pursue STEM degrees. They call it P-STEM degrees, which I don't know what the P part of it is, but basically science and technology degrees. And there's an actual study, research done. There's a link to the research study itself. And basically it just talks about that could be a component that teachers may want to go ahead and add to their classrooms as some sort of game-based learning like we always talk about. So we'll make sure we link that into the show notes because it's a really interesting, first of all, the little introduction to the study, but then the study itself is linked too. So I thought that was very, very well done. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean the word geek, I guess. I know some people that hate the word geek and then some people that don't care. It helps that, being a quote unquote geek or quote unquote nerd is a lot more accepted now than it was, let's say 10 years ago.
I think it's way more
now
hip.
It's cool.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah, but I just didn't like it to be associated with the word girl. You know what I mean? Like geek girl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, you're exactly right. If someone said that I was a geek, I'd say, yes, I am. And I'm proud of it. That's okay. And that's is not a thing, but I just thought it's too often people just try to put these little clickbait titles on their stuff so that they call it geek girl. It's like, okay,
right,
come on.
In a world where it's hard enough to be accepted, to then attach these dumb pointless labels to it, it's a good article to read. I get that.
Yes, none of the rest of the article actually mentions that, kind of that thing. It's just like, okay, but it kind of leads right into the next thing that we were going to talk about, which is this article, the second article in Paul Darvasi's series about using Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
at school. And I remember in his previous article, actually, Paul kind of sets up the stage of how anybody that used to play Dungeons and Dragons, like, during our times, our
Yeah.
age, we're around the same age. So when we were like 8 to 12 years old, if we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, we were, let's just say, not popular, you know what I mean, or whatever.
No.
It wasn't a popular thing to do.
No.
And I think that's all flipped now. People see it
flipped.
Yeah, as something great. I mean, even in the movie, and I'm not going to be able to think, or the show, super popular show on Netflix. What show am I thinking of, Mike?
I don't know.
Yeah, when they play Dungeons and Dragons, the kids, it's kind of supernatural, and the kids, being that they're kind of a little bit geeky and nerdy, actually is awesome. And all of us that watch the show, and why can't I think of the name of it? Come on. The most popular show on Netflix with the kids, and then they go battle these.
Oh, are you talking about Stranger Things?
Stranger Things, exactly. So Stranger Things.
I've never watched Stranger Things.
You haven't? Oh my God! So
no.
One of the first scenes, and I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but one of the first scenes is basically these kids sitting around playing this Dungeons and Dragons game. It's kind of set in the 70s, 80s, early 80s. Kind of. I mean, it doesn't say that, but that's kind of what it feels like. And I was thinking, my sons and their friends all talk about this kind of stuff. They're talking about role-playing games and these kinds of, and it's not the nerdy thing to do anymore. It's kind of, it's very well accepted. And so Paul says in the second article about how this advanced placement English teacher is using it to teach tales, like tough things to read. Like we were just talking about that off air, like Beowulf. Super difficult to read, Chaucer.
Yeah.
But
Chaucer,
to really get into those things, she sets up this kind of whole year-long campaign, kind of the gamification of this advanced placement English course, which just makes me want to have her on just to talk about kind of how she sets this all up, and then how other people who are interested in using this can do this also in their classrooms. Really, really intriguing. And she talks about all of those 21st century skills, like, collaboration and just working together and creativity, and then really just being engaged in the stories themselves, really wanting to dig deep into them. So not this superficial reading where you go, gosh, this is really difficult to read, I'm going to give up. Instead, really digging deep into them and really wanting to know more about, the Canterbury Tales and Macbeth, stuff that's, heavy, tough to read, but
super heavy.
Yeah, but really getting generating some interest from her students and making it a year-long process. So we're going to link that article to the show notes too. I just thought that was awesome.
And we were talking off air, and I think it's worth mentioning that. I mean, we know this even as like elementary, like I'm an elementary teacher, and we know this, that we've seen kids reading the Redstone guide for Minecraft, that are, and they're like 6 years old. And the Redstone guide for Minecraft is quite a bit detailed.
Yes,
I mean, it's not a very technical, like, so we know that kids will devour the things that they're engaged in and that they really want to read. Do we care as long as it's appropriate, do we care what they're reading? Not in the least.
No.
If it's comic books, if it's graphic novels. I had a boy a couple years ago whose mom came up to me and said, I can't get him to read. And I asked, what is he into?
Yeah.
And she said, he's into cars and soccer.
Okay.
And I said, well, go buy him a soccer magazine. Go.
Yeah.
I mean, go buy him Car and Driver. Do you care what he's reading? Why do you, if you do?
Yes.
Because you want him to read. Yeah. Go buy him a soccer magazine and Car and Driver. Talk to the teacher and say, this is what he wants to read. And he's reading. So is this cool?
Yes.
And then they just devoured that content. And then let them write an assignment on Messi if you want to, right? Let them talk about Ronaldo in his speech.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
What do you care?
Yeah. No, I mean,
what do you care?
Leverage their interests so that they can go ahead and learn those next level skills, whatever those skills are, whether they're reading or, like you just said, presentation skills or writing about any topic that they're really interested. That's awesome.
100%. So we're going to link that in the show notes. When we come back, I have a sense that we might get into a fight. Listen.
On Education is brought to you by Teacher Gaming. As a foreign language teacher, I'm so excited about Teacher Gaming's newest game edition called Influent. Influent is a video game aimed at inspiring people around the world to pick up a new language by making vocabulary acquisition and proper pronunciation a fun and rewarding experience. Players explore an interactive 3D environment filled with hundreds of collectible objects scattered throughout. I had so much fun playing this game, all while learning Korean. There are 18 languages currently supported, including Spanish, French, Mandarin, and even Bulgarian. To learn more about Teacher Gaming and all of the awesome games that are available, visit teachergaming.com. On Education is brought to you by Classcraft. Classcraft is an amazing teaching resource created by teachers. Classcraft is dedicated to making school relevant and engaging to all of our students. Classcraft is proud to announce their Questathon quests created with shared storylines and custom illustrations to bring any subject to life. Every time a teacher downloads one of the free quests, Classcraft will add $1 to the Teachers Are Professionals Fund, which will be used to fund teacher requests to pledgesense.com. To learn more about Classcraft, simply go to classcraft.com. All
right, welcome back to the show. I actually don't think we're going to get into a fight. It was just, it was clickbait.
That's okay.
I just wanted people to keep listening.
It was the same thing I just talked about earlier. We clickbaited people. No.
we did clickbait people. They're like, oh, Mike and Glen are going to fight. No, we're not going to.
Well, it's going to be a discussion.
We're not going to fight. Yes. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Do it.
All right. Do you want me to read your tweet? Okay.
Go for it, man.
EdTech hot take. So those are both hashtags. Mm-hmm. Yep. Microsoft is winning. Apple is frustrating. Google boring. But you also put, I might regret this tweet tomorrow. The only thing I thought was weird is I read it, I was just like, okay, what does this even mean? Because I wanted some context. That's why I just, people can't see our show notes, but I just took a screenshot of your tweet and posted it as part 2. There's no other part 2. It just has that. Because I figured that would be a lengthy discussion. The one part, I mean, I guess the first part we could discuss is you put, if we're going to talk about Microsoft, Apple, and Google, okay, we're comparing the giants.
Yes.
These are the giants.
The giants.
Yes, and you said Microsoft is winning, right? Give me some background.
I did say that
because I mean, I guess one of the things here's something I could use to be able to support that argument. They've acquired some other companies that are phenomenal.
Awesome.
So let's first talk about Minecraft, and Minecraft Education Edition. I mean, that itself is a gigantic acquisition. But then they followed it up with this year with Flipgrid. So
also
two
huge.
Gigantic things that a whole bunch of people. It's not even. I think it's the trend is still growing on both of those.
Arguably the best, would you even
for
say?
Game-based learning, Minecraft is the best. And Flipgrid, for what it does, yeah, I would say it's the best.
There's no one.
I don't even know if there's a competitor in that field.
No one even.
If there was, they're done.
Well, there was that one, right? You showed me something with a company called, what was it, Sway? And they used to be something else.
Yes.
And then, but they literally acknowledged that Flipgrid destroyed them.
And I bet it destroyed a whole bunch of other things. And with the power of Microsoft behind it, so now you have this gigantic corporation. I mean, then the sky is the limit. Yeah, Flipgrid will be, and probably is, in the majority of schools. And it just continues to grow.
All right.
That is two things that I would say support that argument. But what else do you have? Because I'm thinking about products now. You know what I mean? Because
Well, they have everything else too, though.
Okay,
they
so
have
give us some
everything
more.
else. So they have all of the, the common products. Like all three have a word processor. All three have, a spreadsheet program. All three have a presentation software. All three have, collaborative systems for communication.
Okay.
All three have online versions of those same
but
things.
Some of them are horrible, like Microsoft. If anybody's ever tried to go on Word Online, the online version of Word, and try to do collaborative things there, it's pretty horrible. Oh God,
is it bad? Because I haven't used it in a while.
Horrid. I mean, there's a reason why we use Google Docs. I mean, by we, I mean
yes,
the majority of us use Google Docs. Yes,
almost everybody.
So the Microsoft product suite, I would say, is way inferior to Google, but it's superior to Apple's product suite. So, for example, I don't even know what Apple's word processor is, because that's how much because I really don't
Pages.
care, because people don't use it. I don't think, and
I like Pages.
Yeah. Anyway, it's in third place. If I was going to rank them, I would rank that in third place. Second place would be Microsoft Word, and number one would be Google Docs. Just because
100%. I can take
in
that.
The same realm, then, depending upon.
Keynote is a million times better than Google Slides, though.
I agree with you.
I know that there are people that won't agree with me, but Keynote is a million times better than Google Slides. If you wanted to work on it by yourself.
And I agree. I actually made my presentations here lately all on Keynote because it's way better than PowerPoint and way superior to Google Slides. But if I was going to work on this with somebody else, for example, I'm going to do some presentations at our Minnesota conference. And so I need to be able to work collaborative we're in different locations. We're going to make it all in Google Slides because then what else do you do? With Keynote, there's no way to be able to do that. Yes.
There's no collaborative element.
There's something to that. I mean, and I would say that too. But anyway, you put Apple is frustrating. What was that about? Apple
happened? Is frustrating. And I mean, you've even acknowledged that Apple's frustrating. Okay, let's be clear here.
What are we?
We've both been frustrated about Apple.
I don't even know.
They don't innovate. They right? There's nothing new. And not only that, let's just talk about what they do in the education.
Talk about their products.
Well, just in in general. I mean, just they don't let's just talk about what they do in schools, I guess. I mean, in the sense that all of the way that they support schools is, I don't want to use, they're all half cooked. They're there, they exist. Things like that Apple Classroom thing for iPads. It's there, it exists. It mostly
I think,
works.
What? I totally agree with you. I know where you're going with this, because we said, at those Apple events, we're like, come on, guys. Come up, why?
Right.
If you're going to have a big Apple event, why don't you announce something that's amazing? Something that you did that's out of this world, whether it be a super price cut on your products or something innovative out of the box that you actually did, which they haven't.
And I mean, they've had volume, and they've had you could buy apps in volume for a while, a couple years at least. But even the elements, the back end, the system administrator for school kind of elements are all, again, kind of half cooked. They're just not, they're not as good as they could be so much better. They literally have almost $1 trillion in the bank account. Hire some more people, and just make all of this stuff better. I mean, just applying devices to accounts and to profiles, and just all of the technical stuff has always still been incredibly frustrating. When you have a one-to-one school, an update can break everything. The world stops. If you're an Apple school sometimes, and you get these updates and they get pushed through, and I mean, so then all these schools have to have Well, and then you have all these schools that have to have people like literally dedicated almost to testing an update and what it's going to destroy in your system before you push it to the rest of the school. It's like they're not talking to each other in terms of like how this is going to screw over enterprise every time that there's a giant update. It's not that they're not good. Like, don't misunderstand. The word frustrating is appropriate. It's not that they're losing necessarily. They are doing awesome things. I love iPads. If you look at my desk at work, it has a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, an iPad Pro, and a 5K iMac. I am a Mac Apple
and those
user.
products are superior to anything that Microsoft or Google
They're great.
has. Correct? That's what I was saying. That's where I was thinking. I was like, well, it might be frustrating, but they are the superior product. I mean, and I wish they would push it.
I think a Surface and an iPad Pro are pretty interchangeable.
Have you used the Surface?
Or close to? I mean, yeah, okay. It's a great computer. It's a tablet. It's running a full version of Windows. If you buy a comparably equipped Surface, you're getting a top of the line laptop, that's also a tablet with a touchscreen, and that uses any applications that you generally would want to be able to use and uses them well. So I don't necessarily think that the Apple is losing in the device area if we were to rank things by category. Again, I have all Apple. I'm staring at a MacBook Air. You have two of them,
and your phone,
and an
too.
iPad, and your phone. Right? I mean, it's not that I have. It's just I find them.
You wish they would push
the
envelope, right?
I think that they could. It's frustrating that we know that they can, and they don't. That's why I use the frustrating word, because we know that Google is boring, and anyone who doesn't think so is.
I would
not
just say
looking
that
at this,
Google has the number one collaborative software out there. I mean, and it's free. That's just insane.
Sorry. Let's be clear. They have the number one collaborative word processor.
I would say does it?
Glen, it's the number one collaborative
word processor, presentation software, and spreadsheet software. As far as being able to work collaboratively, there's not even any competition. And people, I would just say by people, I mean Microsoft and Apple know this so well that they've defaulted to saying, you may use that for things. Apple has. They're like, we're an Apple school, but we're totally everything that we do is in Google. I mean, all of our stuff runs, we're not focusing on, Keynote or whatever the word processor is or any of those things. Everything that we do has to do with Google Docs and slides and Google Forms and Sheets. And we live in Drive, as a school.
Look out.
They are amazing, though. There's just so much you can do with them. The forms themselves.
Okay.
You don't think so? There's a billion different uses for them, and all of them being related to then being able to break down data inside of spreadsheets. Gather data, break it down, be able to use it for whatever it is that you're going to use it for.
I use Google Forms. I think it's effective for, asking people questions and getting answers. I mean, and quit. I guess I never even
used it in that way as far as the teaching method, thing. I used it. I mean, what I'm talking about is like, principal evaluations. Be able to do student surveys on climate, school climate, and be able to go in and get that data and break it down and get an aggregate of those types of things without having to use any money. No product. You don't have to buy an external kind of thing. You just are using you're creating it yourself, bringing in the things that you need, and then be able to break down that data inside of a spreadsheet where everybody can look at that spreadsheet at the same time and manipulate it at the same time. So, I mean, that itself is just innovative.
The best thing about Google is that at the point of use, it's
and
free.
It's collaborative. So they win both of those battles. And so those two things are huge. Free, and you can work with it with other people. The other two don't have any of that kind of stuff.
Again, yeah, it's a collaborative word processor. I mean, I get it. I use it all the time. We are, as far as devices, we're an Apple school, but we're Google all the way as far as like, it's just, and I've said this before. I've told you this. It might have been off air, but I don't get excited about Google stuff. Google training, Google sessions,
it's because
Google
it's so
presentations.
integrated, though,
Mike. Oh, really?
We already, it's that's why. Yeah. Well, you might call it boring, but it's because it's already so ingrained as part of our usage. We don't go on there and say, hey, I'm going to share this Microsoft Word document with you. No one has ever said that in the last 5 years. No, anytime anybody brings up a Word document at school or is somewhere else talking about Word document, I'm like, why are you using that? There's no reason for that.
I agree. I am 100% standing by my word choice.
I don't know. I don't know if Microsoft is actually winning, though. It depends, I guess, on what your interpretation is of it.
I don't know either, but I mean, almost on the weight alone, and I think that the Surface stuff is underrated. I think that they've never pushed it for school. They've never. But if they wanted to, they could, and they crush it. I think
they could take on the iPad.
I mean, they'll never kick out like the Chromebook people. Like Chromebooks are a special thing. They're built for schools and districts that don't have a whole lot of money, but still need technology.
Exactly.
And Chromebooks are great. I don't have a problem with Chromebooks. I get it, but I think Surfaces could compete with schools like where I work that do have a decent amount of money and do have the freedom of choice, and also have teachers that would be capable of modifying their practice based on the device that they're using if necessary. And the devices themselves are amazing. They're top of the line.
We should find great several comparison articles, iPad versus that Microsoft product, just to see Surface. Like, okay, does it really compare to each other? Where are the price points at? Those kinds of things. What do you actually get besides the viruses that you have with that Surface?
Right. Yeah. See, so, and that was in our little Twitter repartee. You're not going to win an argument saying, and that's I think what's shut down.
I wasn't trying to win.
You're not going to win an argument
with the virus
by talking about viruses.
I just was saying, you just said that Apple is frustrating. Just imagine if you had Surfaces throughout your entire school, and then they get a virus on them because they're susceptible to them. Talk about frustration.
I mean, but we've been doing security for PCs
we have security
for decades. So I assume that, and I'm not a system administrator. I can't tell you how hard or easy it is to deal with Microsoft products as far as, their vulnerabilities compared to Apple products. I can tell you that we've dealt with vulnerabilities on Apple products as well at our school. With all of our kids have MacBooks, and they've gotten viruses on them. I mean, it's possible.
I was just thinking too, if we have if we have someone out there that actually a school that uses Surfaces at their school at a school level. I don't know if that exists. If you guys are out there,
we almost
I don't know. Let us know how it's going.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, tell us.
Let us know how it's going.
Is it good or is it bad? What are the goods and the bads? I guess all of them have goods and bads.
I think that all of these companies are doing good things.
I would agree.
I'm a fan of parts of what all of them are doing. By using the words that I used, I'm not saying that Google is bad. I'm not saying that Apple is bad. And I'm not saying that Microsoft is the best. I don't use, but on the weight of, even almost on the weight of Flipgrid and Minecraft, and then when you add the fact that they're present in these other similarly competitive areas, the one thing that Microsoft is really missing is some sort of a
device,
classroom management system, some sort of a learning management system. Like Google has Google Classroom. Apple sort of has this, like I said, this Apple Classroom thing for iPads. Microsoft doesn't have that at all, I don't think. So that's an area where they're definitely lacking. But all three of these guys have the resources to do whatever the hell they want. They really do.
So true.
Do they?
Yep. If they really want to, they can do
just,
anything they want.
To just decide to be better. Just, we are going to be better at this. And then they go and do it. They can all do it, and they all should. Especially Apple. I mean, with like so much money in the bank, and they could hire anybody they wanted to. They could hire me. I'll tell them how to not be frustrating anymore.
Because we've talked about this, is they have the billions/trillions in the bank. Why not reduce the price of your products for schools specifically? I mean, what a movement that would be. Blow away the Chromebook movement by saying, you know what, we have a superior product than the iPad, and now it only costs $200.
Yeah.
$200, you actually get a pencil, and you get a pencil with it.
Subsidized.
Just because we can do that. And then talk about
it would be a revolution. It would be over.
I think so. Yes.
It would be over.
100%. Get that job there. Come on. Let's get that going.
Ugh. I don't think I'd handle the bureaucracy. They'd pull up this tweet that I post, and they'd be like, "What's this, Washburn?"
It'd be over.
They wouldn't
before it started. Yes,
I'd be gone before I even. I'd be just unpacking my boxes in Cupertino, and I'd be on the flight back to Toronto. That didn't last very long. Jeez.
Exactly.
I have to delete the tweet. I'm not deleting the tweet. I'm standing by it. I feel good about it. I feel better about it now than I did sitting in Isaac's karate class, posting my hot take. So I still find Google incredibly boring and Apple incredibly frustrating. I am willing to maybe budge on Microsoft is winning. Maybe winning is not the appropriate word here. I'm fine with Apple being frustrating. They are. And I stand by Google being incredibly boring because they are, in my opinion. I get what they're good at. It just doesn't get me up in the morning. So,
yes, it is.
Hot Take Central around here at On Education. Come at me, people. Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to get in trouble for this one. Yeah. So that's it. When we come back, we'll talk to Aaron Sherman from StoryboardThat.
On Education is brought to you by Project Pals. Project-based learning has come a long way since poster boards and paper cutouts. Digital platforms like Project Pals have cut teacher prep time in half to allow more time for research and learning. They can either choose from the dozens of projects available in the catalog or create a tailored project from scratch. Project Pal's multi-purpose platform allows students to work in real time to create project assets, import media, and save their resources all in one place. Student contribution analytics and a progress bar keep teachers up to date. Solidly grounded in years of research, Project Pals is your all-in-one solution for student-centered inquiries and group projects.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're thrilled to have Aaron Sherman with us. Aaron is the CEO of StoryboardThat. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's start with just some general information about StoryboardThat. What is it, and how long you guys been around, and what are you guys up to?
StoryboardThat is an incredibly powerful and easy way to make storyboards, graphic organizers, worksheets, comic strips, and just about anything else you can think of to visually communicate. And I started this company nearly 7 years ago, and we've had over 8 million storyboards created since then.
It's awesome. I've actually been using StoryboardThat for quite a while. You said you've been around for how long? Seven years?
6.5 years to be more.
Six and a half years. So I've probably been using StoryboardThat as a paid subscriber for at least 5 years. And I think it's probably one of my favorite products of its kind out there. I tried a couple other platforms and top notch product. It has a back end system for teachers. You can build assignments into it and all of that kind of stuff. Can you talk about the ways that you design StoryboardThat for educators to help them use it in the classroom?
Absolutely. And I think one of the first things about how we help educators use in the classroom is the product was initially designed for corporate America. And teachers said they liked the product because what we were trying to help corporate America do was really think about critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And it turns out those 4 C's, those 21st century skills, are critical to the education space.
Absolutely.
And because we did not build a product for kids, there's nothing childlike about the product, and that really resonates well with students. They figure the interface out in 30 seconds, and from kindergartners through high schoolers, nobody gets annoyed at feeling it's too childish. Specifically for the teachers, what we heard early on, and this is going to sound incredibly obvious to anyone that's a teacher, teachers have students, and students are in classes, and classes have assignments, and we worked really hard to make that interaction as simple as possible to let you organize your classes and students that way. We also have thousands and thousands and thousands of pre-made lesson plans that you can import into the system, most of which have pre-made rubrics, templates, and examples of a completed assignment to really scaffold out what you're doing to make it as fast and easy as possible to get into the rich educational outcome.
That's awesome. Glen and I, we spend a lot of time talking about things like creativity, iterative design thinking, and teaching these things out to kids. So again, these 21st century skills, the idea that this process is important and kids need to learn this process to provide meaning and value in their learning, and then be able to do greater things with that as they get older. And I don't think that there's a more integral component to the design process than storyboarding. I use my storyboarding component for my game design challenge. So I have a year-long game project, and as part of that project, one of the assignments is the kids have to storyboard their game with all of the critical aspects of the narrative of their game. And we talk a lot about how, you know, as you go through the process of storyboarding, you're going to learn things about your game that you didn't realize until you storyboarded it, for example. And that's going to give you the opportunity to make changes, to develop it, or to adapt it, or to maybe even move things around. So I guess my question to you is, what do you think the value is to inserting storyboards into the design process for students?
I think you honestly hit on a lot of the really great points. For me, I find it very hard to think on my feet, but if I can sit down and spend the time to really organize my thoughts, my first couple thoughts are pretty obvious, but my second, third, fourth, fifth, I'm always kind of surprised at where it takes me. And by using a storyboard, I've always found that to be a very powerful way to organize my thoughts in a linear fashion. And then what I love is I can take my storyboard and I can hand it to somebody that I trust, that I'm working with, and they can look at it and they're like, you know, I really like where you're going in the first couple of cells, but what if we change cell 3 just a little bit? It would drastically improve and change the story. Mm-hmm. And those interactions are so incredibly powerful. And when you talk about time saving, so incredibly cheap compared to the cost of making a product that nobody wants, making a game that's not fun, making a game that's confusing. Organizing your thoughts ahead of time saves you tremendous amounts of time in the long term, which is why we created StoryboardThat, to really just help people think.
I mean, totally. I like what you just said, because we talk about with kids all the time about organizing your thoughts, about putting things down, and putting it in a storyboard as opposed to even doing it on like a Google Doc, for example, adds a level of, I think, depth and richness to the design process, to the creative process, that you can't really find just writing it out in a word processor, don't you think?
I think that I agree 100%. When you write 3 bullet points, everyone's going to interpret those 3 bullet points very differently based upon their own life experiences.
Sure.
Whereas when you have a picture and the picture clearly shows something, you're going to have much faster alignment as to what you're actually saying or trying to say. And part of communication, it's not what you say, it's what's heard on the other side. And anything and everything you can do to make it more effective that what you try to say is actually heard is just such a winning strategy and outcome and tactic.
Yeah, totally. And it's not really limited, I guess, to age, right? I mean, can you talk a little bit about what you? So I'm actually not sure what the answer to this question may be, but what are younger students doing with Storyboard That? Do you have any kind of anecdotal stories you can give us about how teachers are using Storyboard That with younger kids? And I'm thinking, like, I use it with grade 8s. I'm thinking even younger than that. What are people doing with storyboarding and design thinking? Storyboard That at even younger grades than grade 8. Hopefully we're doing some really cool stuff. I think that there's lots of potential for it.
There's a lot of potential. At the younger grades, I mean, in all the grades, plot is a major thing that's taught. And so when you talk about first graders, second graders, they're still learning beginning, middle, end of a book. And by using storyboards, they're able to recreate the literature that they're studying. And that literature, Freckle Juice, Frindle, these great kid stories, when the students sit there and they recreate it visually, it really cements it in their mind how the plot structure goes. And that same activity of doing plot also applies to high schoolers when they're recreating Shakespeare. The complexity goes up, but the activity does not. The activity doesn't fundamentally change.
Right. So I mean, that classic example of just retelling a story so that we see that students understand it, that can be done in a storyboard, and you'll have potentially a pretty interesting, deep learning experience from doing it that way, using Storyboard That or storyboarding it. That would be a great idea, right? That's awesome.
Absolutely. And when you storyboard that, you don't hear from your students, I can't draw, which changes it from an art assignment to a thinking assignment. And both are very important, in my opinion. I think art's very, very important. But if you're trying to stress the thinking process, it's phenomenal to equalize the field. Personally, I can't draw and I can't write. And so Storyboard That really is a product made for me.
Because you guys have like a whole bunch of built-in stuff, right? Like the backgrounds and the characters. And so even if you don't have the exact character for the exact thing, like my grade 8s, when they're storyboarding their games, some of them don't, like, it's pretty early on in the design process for their games. They don't have their characters created. They don't have backgrounds created. They use your built-in stuff. And the assumption by me, along with them, is that they're going to make their own stuff eventually for their game. But this stuff is used in the meantime just to get the point across. You have a lot of resources built right into the system, right?
Absolutely. We have thousands and thousands of images we've drawn and tens of millions of Creative Commons photos. But I think you really hit something important about placeholders. In art design, there's a concept of FPO, for position only, and lorem ipsum. And even in our own office, a lot of our own storyboards have placeholder images, and they just say lorem ipsum. We will get to the copy later. We'll figure out the right image later, but we want to make sure we capture those thoughts now, because we'll forget the thoughts. We can always make an image later.
Right. No, absolutely. So if we had teachers, educators who were new to the idea of storyboarding, were new to the idea of, mind mapping or, these types of processes, if it was something new for them, what would you think? What would you give as advice on a way to get started for these folks?
One of the scariest and most enjoyable things is a blank canvas. Go to StoryboardThat.com, click a button that says Create a Storyboard, and drag your first scene down. And once you drag your first scene and just watch how it begins to fill the story, immediately you're going to think to yourself, wow, what if? And go with your imagination and see what you create. You will be surprised at how fast your mind wanders and how amazing the outcome is. Everything in the product is super, super easy. You drag it and you drop it, and we ask you the right questions to guide you towards interesting concept. If it's a scene, we ask you can click a button to change it to snowing or rain. And with characters, you can pose them. Are they happy? Are they angry? And let your creativity out for a few seconds. You'll be surprised what you can do.
We talk, Glen and I talk to a lot of games-based learning people and gamification people, and we ask a similar question to them too. When we say, what if people are afraid of just getting into it? What do they do? And it's amazing that you said almost the exact same thing as what they would say. And I think it's amazing advice. And it's advice that I share with people when I talk to them, when I do talks or sessions or speeches or whatever, is just go ahead and do it. Getting your feet wet, right?
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Getting started is the hardest part of anything in life.
100%.
It is so hard. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've taken the journey, and it all just starts with that first step. You just have to do it, and the rewards are just so amazing for taking that first step.
Yeah, and then you start to see like what happens when you start doing that. You start to envision the way it would look in your class, the way it would look, to your students, and then it just goes. And that's what I think I like about all of these kind of games-based learning and design products and stuff like that, is that once you actually take the step and, get the courage to just start doing something, you'll be amazed where it takes you. So speaking of getting started, if people wanted to use Storyboard That, are there plans? Does it cost money? We talk a lot about things like that. What do people do to get going with Storyboard That specifically?
So if you go to StoryboardThat.com, once again, that's StoryboardThat.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a big button that says Free Trial for Teachers. If you click that, you can have a 2-week free trial. And one of the things we've heard is a lot of teachers have to pay things out of their own pocket, which is fortunate, but is a reality. And we make sure to make our pricing very affordable for teachers and for PTAs and for schools. So for a single teacher with 10 students, it is just $8.99 a month paid monthly to get going. And for more of a high school teacher with 150 students, it would only be $11.99 or $12.99 a month. And that's paid monthly. Of course, it's much cheaper paid yearly. And we also offer school and district plans. We have a wonderful support team that's here to help you anytime you need us. If you email help@storyboardthat.com. During business days, during the school days, we get back very, very quickly. And often on the weekends, somebody will still get back to you. Is there time to talk about our newest feature, worksheets, or are we out of time?
Yeah. Tell us about worksheets. I remember you mentioned in the video or in the emails, but go ahead. And what do you got? What do you got going on?
After 6.5 years and 8 million storyboards, one of the things we realized and we heard, we have this absolutely amazing platform to create this highly visual, highly engaging content. And we said to ourselves, what if we tweaked our product just a little bit to let teachers make worksheets that would be fast to make and beautiful? And we spent the next 6 months building this product. We tweaked it. We made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of example worksheets that we posted on Teachers Pay Teachers to make sure that we actually understood what the technology needed to do. And we launched it in September. It's incredibly exciting. And we look forward to hearing and seeing what teachers create any worksheets they create, you're welcome to resell yourself on Teachers Pay Teachers. We just really believe that by adding the right visual elements and making it fast and easy, we can really empower teachers to make high-quality worksheets and handouts and guided notes and study notes and exit tickets that will engage their students.
Interesting. All right. Cool. Well, so check that out. You can find out information about that on the website as well, on
Absolutely.
the Storyboard That site.
Absolutely.
Wicked. All right, man. Aaron, thanks for joining us. This has been fun. StoryboardThat.com is where you go to check out everything for them. Aaron Sherman, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys.
On Education is an on-podcast media production. My name is Mike Washburn. My co-host is Glen Irvin. You can get in touch with us or ask us questions to answer on air by visiting our website, oneducationpodcast.com. You can tweet us at oneducationpod. Glen is at Irv Spanish on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at Mr. Washburn. Our sound engineer is Jake Codeweiss. He's on Twitter at JK Radio. You can find us on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/oneducationpod. If you're enjoying the show and think others would too, we would be honored if you shared it with them. Please leave us a rating or review in Apple Podcasts or the Google Play Store. When you leave a rating, it gives our rankings a boost. This helps others discover the show. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, Schoology, for supporting us. Check out Schoology.com to learn how they can help you advance what's possible. Thanks as always for listening. Stay awesome. See you soon.